Bom, pessoal, antes de mais nada, eu gostaria de agradecer a presença de todos nesse primeiro workshop, tá, que a gente está promovendo com o pessoal da Faceware e com os nossos colegas da HCG. Então, teremos um total de 3 eventos. Esse primeiro, né, hoje, a gente vai falar sobre a pipeline de animação facial com mocap para a produção profissional. Em abril, abordaremos sobre pós-produção profissional de animação facial. E, finalmente, em maio, teremos o último evento, onde a gente vai falar sobre o futuro da animação facial, mocap e humanos digitais também. Então, inclusive, eu gostaria de lembrá-los que também estamos organizando e a gente já realizou alguns eventos, workshops, com a captura de movimento tridimensional, utilizando o sistema da Vicon na animação. E um dos próximos eventos que a gente está também organizando é relacionado à produção virtual. Tá? Bom, hoje a apresentação, como no anúncio, né, a gente vai realizar em inglês, mas eu estarei aqui disponível caso vocês tenham qualquer dúvida. Fiquem à vontade de mandar a pergunta no chat, se quiser ligar o áudio e fazer a sua pergunta, tá? Fiquem à vontade. E esse workshop a gente está gravando, né? E depois ele vai ficar disponível também no YouTube, tá bom? Sem mais, eu gostaria de apresentar os nossos convidados, tá? Eu vou começar pela Karen Chen, da Faceware, que ela é responsável pelo desenvolvimento de negócios, ela é chefe de CG e VFX e serviços acadêmicos também da Faceware. Ela vai entrar com a gente já daqui a pouco, tá? Tem o meu colega aí, o Carlos Wilkes, ele é cofundador da HCG e também aluno de doutorado em animação facial com Deep Learning, né, na Universidade ITE-SM. E Jorge Mercado, ele é engenheiro de tecnologias de animação interativa, especialista em Vicon e Faceware, e também animador facial sênior da empresa Eugênia. Tá? Sem mais, vamos começar a apresentação com o Carlos, e depois a Karen vai também se juntar a nós e fazer uma breve apresentação do sistema Faceware. Carlos? Let's go.
Yes.
Sorry, I was thinking.
Don't worry. Hi, everybody. Nice to see you. And I'm really happy to have the opportunity to talk to everybody. Remember, if something about the things Jorge, Karen, and I said on English need some, questions or translation, don't worry, ask Robson, and Robson will help us as the translation from specific things, or if you need, we can explain things. I'm very sure everybody is familiar with animation language, the things we used to talk about in this industry. It's wide used around the world in English. But don't be shy or afraid to ask or interrupt me if you want to get a different explication about the things. I'm very sure Roxanne will help us a lot. Okay, so we're gonna start first talking about the different steps in the facial capture process. At the beginning, we have a step. And this step, is the pre-production or prior the production needed to abort animation projects. And for sure, you are very familiar with the rigging techniques needed to prepare a character or a digital human to use motion capture. So in this case, it's very common about to use a clean and correct topology. This is obvious, but sometimes people don't have a great facial rigging techniques and they need some extra help. But the correct use of the weights of the face and the understanding of the muscular performance of the face of the actor and the character are important. The use of joints or blend shapes on a hybrid solution when you use bones and blend shape, it's important to consider the way you're gonna use a character with facial motion capture or a traditional keyframe animation. This is two different ways to work. First, the use of joints, it's important in specific needs of the facial rigging, because this helps us to recreate the movement of the model based in the rotation. Let me admit people, because there's some people.
I did. Yeah.
You did? Okay.
Then just one thing, Carlos. Gilson, can you? Gilson, você consegue escutar? Can you? Oh, hi, Karen. How are you doing? Can you hear us well? Okay. Can you guys hear us well, everyone?
I can hear you guys fine.
Oh, okay, cool.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead. No, because one of the attendees mentioned about the audio, so I just want to make sure, yeah, everything was okay.
Don't worry. Interrupt me if you need to ask me something. So as I was saying, the need of use joint, it's important to have the movements of the rotation on different bones on the skull of the character. And of sure, this will be important to be connected how the movements of the models need to be good, so that's why the use of bones, the use of joints in a facial rig is not always a 100% solution. You need to make a mixture, because the joints don't help to have different displacements of the muscle in areas that is not easy to express. So that's why we have the blend shapes. Blend shapes will help us to manipulate the geometry of the model from the mesh itself, and based in different codification systems like FABs or FACs. Blend shape will help us to recreate the expression of the muscle movements of the face. So it's important to understand that the correct mix of face blend shapes and joints help us to have a very nice facial rigging that will be 100% compatible with Faceware animation. So as you can see, it not depends that if I do just joints or just blend shapes, Faceware have no problem using both technologies mixed to do the great performance of your facial rigging. But before to start with the pipeline, I'm just gonna abort, because some people in different regions of the South America has different experience using facial capture with different techniques or with different capture methods. So this is important, because it's the way we understand why now the most important way to use facial capture is based in systems like Faceware. Okay, so the beginning is not new. The history and evolution of facial mocap, it's something that started in the 90s when we had papers like Lance Williams showed how to use motion capture in the 90s in SIGGRAPH. In that moment, the use of facial capture was most related to healthcare industries, because they have amazing techniques and methodologies to capture how the face moves. So in that moment, the Dr. Dave at Warner Hospital used a technique mixed with this kind of mixture of technology that was some robotics, some electronic, to have the chance to transmit the animation of the face into a character. Let me see. Okay. So this is the beginning. This is very old, but I want to let you know that this is not a new industry. This is so old as the beginning of the computer animation. In later years, we have the use of these technologies was more related to entertainment industries like video games and movies and computer graphics. So first steps were more common in video games in the third generation of video games consoles like Nintendo 64, like PlayStation or Dreamcast. So we started to have different ways to try to get the movements of the face into animation pipelines. So that's how we see things like this in that year. And then the industry started to get standards. The standards help the industry to decide how the things will be codified, how the things will be measured to be transmitted into characters. So the first standard was based in the MPG4. MPG is like an association in Europe that they do standards for video codification, for audio codification, and facial codification. So this codification named facial action properties and was used in the end of the 90s until today. It's based in around 51 controls, but sometimes some people add extra control or don't use all the controls. And the interesting thing is FAB is the common way to learn animation in universities, in video tutorials on YouTube, or just if you want to learn how to do facial rigging, you're gonna find a lot of content, and they use this methodology. This methodology is not bad enough, but for sure there's better methodologies than the traditional plane shape to move the eyebrow, the eye, the lips, because these are discrete controls. And discrete controls means I have a control to do this, to move the mouth, but if I want to express a complete set of expression like sadness, like happiness, like fear, I need to understand how the things work. So that's why some codification are based in expression and some codification are based in controls, okay? So this is the most common. Everybody knows how to use this. If you do a rigging, you will start with this, and it's 25 years old. Then we have the first optical tracking system based in optical cameras. These photos are from my classes of my students 15 years ago. I used to teach using motion capture infrared cameras, using markers in the face of my students, and they just track position, you know, XYZ position of each marker, and you need to program in Python. Well, back in time was MEL to transfer the movement of the points into the face. That's making it more difficult. So the industry started to have the first animation compatible, facial animation compatible softwares like Motion Builder. Motion Builder was a tool, well, those Motion Builder, it's used already until these days, but in that moment was just 17 points, 70 points to transfer the facial into a character. So this was not bad enough, but worked for basic characters. Like 11 years ago was okay, but then we had more important technology. So for the people who had the chance to remember Softimage, Softimage was a software that was bought by Autodesk like 8 or 9 years ago. Then Autodesk disappeared this tool, but the tool has an amazing facial animation system based in 35 markers. So it was the first time that a facial capture had more than 17 points and then was easy to use 35 points. I have here this video so you can see how Face Robot used to work in the early 2000 years using motion capture. As you can see, was the same thing, use markers on the face with reflective markers, and you needed to stay seated and you can't move unless you have hundreds of motion capture cameras to capture your face moving in a space. But if you don't have a lot of cameras, you need to stay seated or standing and the camera's aiming to your face, like you see. The uncanny valley effect was not very satisfactory, but we have these faces moving in a way that in that moment was good enough for animatics and VFX. Then the way to work, this video is from my students in that specific time. They were doing facial capture using cameras. So the setup was very complicated because you needed to have a lot of tripods, cameras, markers. So this is just to try to show you how the facial animation evolved in a way that make it easier, cheaper, and even more simple for schools to teach these techniques. This is a singer, was one of the first videos, facial animation in Latin America. She was a singer for a music video and we had to capture her face. This is like 8 years old video. But, you know, in Latin America, we are always trying to do the things, trying to reply the methodologies of America, Canada, and Europe do. So this was the first steps in Latin America trying to do facial animation with motion capture. And then we started to have different problems in industry because people wanted to have more markers, more regions of the face to capture because they needed to have more points in the face. And then we started to have portable systems, and this portable system have the way to use ink on the face, so you can select where you want to capture and get the information of the position of the face, but this was based just only in a three-dimensional position, I mean XYZ position of the dots in the face. And yes, it worked nice because you have the option to detect microexpressions. These microexpressions are the way of the skins move, not the lips. It's the way that your cheeks or your forehead moves if you do something. So microexpression is collateral movements of the initial plane shape you want to move. And then in that moment, Vicon showed and released a tool to do these technologies. This was a expensive tool. It worked fine, but was based on 4 cameras, making it a little difficult to operate. You need to spend time in calibrating the cameras. You need to spend time putting the helmet, making it more difficult, making it more complicated for schools. Just big studios have the chances to try to do this. And as you can see, the information was just a mesh of dots in a three-dimensional space. So you needed to have a post-production tool to work with the 4 videos. So these 4 videos had different information and you needed to do tracking, like the tracking you do in a video for VFX, you know, to track markers in the green screen or something like that. You needed to do something very similar. And this was time spending. Yes, you have the chance to capture a lot of points in the face, but you need to post-process it and spend a lot of time doing this job just to get three-dimensional dots. And these three-dimensional dots was not a clear information to connect with your rig. If you had a lot of experience doing rigging, you will have a great way to see this point will be connected with this bone or with this plane shape. But you need to plan very, very clear everything, making it more difficult for entry-level users, or for sure you need to have a big team of people to program specific rigs of the face to work with this kind of information and time spending, cleaning and doing things. So that's how we get to the portable and pointless systems Faceware has. And this is how you're gonna see the difference about the technology that Faceware has compared with the things in the past. These systems are based in facial recognition processing. So they work not with dots, they work with a head, with mouth, with eyes, with eyebrows. The system recognizes faces, not dots. It's presented with 45 expression, but this is the wide used technology in the industry. So I don't know, if Karen, are you there? Do you want to talk a little more about Faceware before we go to demo? Let me make you co-host. Or maybe you are the one who make it, Robson. I'm not sure.
Let me do that.
I will stop sharing. Yes.
There you go.
Perfect. All right, guys, so gonna kind of transition over into Faceware. So again, I'm Karen, head of CG VFX over at Faceware. I work with Carlos and Robson quite a bit on managing the Latin American market. And so a little bit of history as we jump into Faceware. Prior to 2008, we were actually in the service game under the entity Image Metrics, which is now currently known as a research company focused on computer vision and machine learning for the face and body. Since then, we've spun out, taking all of the key learnings, which include research over 3 million different facial data sets, to come up with a proprietary software that now runs Faceware. So that said, since then, we've been on the cutting edge of quite a few industry firsts. I know Carlos just gave you guys a little bit of history lesson, but the cool part now is like we're in 2021. Faceware provides a markerless facial capture solution. All of this is based off a single camera video feed, meaning that you could capture with one of our professional headcams, or you could just literally pop on your computer, open up your webcam, and start facial tracking. From that history lesson, you can tell it's become a lot more convenient, a lot more user-friendly, a lot more cost-efficient. But through the years, Faceware has been deployed a number of industry firsts, which include different Academy Awards for Best Visual Effects, like Benjamin Button. More widely known in the U.S. is the first branded character vlog, Mattel's Barbie vlog. It pretty much went viral when it first launched. And this is where they were turning around content on a week-to-week basis. With games, we were part of the first video-based player-to-player in-game chat for Star Citizen. We were part of the first photoreal face replacement in VR for digital Elton John. And also, we are one of the key partners for Disney, one of the best storytellers in the world. We work with them to launch Puppy Dog Pals and a Vampirina live chat, which is one of the first live chat activations they had done with live facial tracking of their characters for creatures, not even human faces. So Faceware has been part of quite a few cool things. And over the years, we've since expanded and brought on a bunch of new commercial studios, indies, and academic institutions based on the various cost-efficient packages that we do offer. I know I saw Gilson. He's one of our academic customers. So Gilson, hi. Thanks for joining us today. But this is just a list of some of the people that we've worked with over the years. Quite a few people. We're in over 75 countries in 6 continents. And the core part of this, why we're here partnered with HCG and OptiMed, is we're trying to expand our presence in the Latin American market, providing you guys more localized support, especially with some of the language barriers that may happen between US and Spanish and Portuguese. So again, here to partner with HCG in support of the Latin American market and hopefully expanding that in the coming years. Here's a quick look at our product portfolio. As you touched on, we have our newest Mark IV wireless system, can capture up to 6 characters simultaneously. With the newest Teradek, it also has integrations with Xsense, Vicon, and OptiTrack using our Shepherd software. What that integration entails is one-to-one take management. So you'll have face and body naming with the same take naming so that it's much more efficient when you're pairing things in full PCAP. And it also supports time code syncing. I won't go into this too much as I know there's a demo incoming, But so you can high level what we do offer, we also have real-time software, Faceware Studio. Again, this was also launched early last year. Some of you may be familiar or have heard about Faceware Live. That's our older gen software. But with Studio, it brings in some of the newest technology that Faceware is known for, which includes our deep learning jaw tracking. What that means is we can track the upper and lower teeth, even with your mouth closed. And as everyone knows, having accurate jaw tracking is the foundation of lip sync and accurate facial tracking. We can also track with our software that's deployed in Studio now, tracking up the upper, lower eyelids, eye whites, and iris to ensure the most minute movements are captured with eyes, but also making sure these characters don't come across with dead eyes, which previously has been a big issue with capturing believable characters and faces. Again, real time, it's available on Unity and Unreal. As they may show you a little bit later on, some of the cool parts about Studio is, you know, you can get set up pretty quickly. Single click calibration. There is also neural net initialization for quick error recovery when you first get started. There's also some motion logic features added, very similar to the Unreal setup, where you can fine-tune, exaggerate some of these facial expressions when you first get set up. The idea is to get you up and running as quickly in real time as possible with Faceware Studio. And then we have our creation suite, which is the most traditional tried and true facial workflow. What this essentially is supported by Analyzer and Retargeter. In Analyzer, you'll likely have your recording of your actor, whether it be via webcam or a head-mounted camera. You're importing that video into Analyzer, where it's creating all the tracking of the landmarks, those training frames, and training the software to understand your model that you're importing. At that point, you take that FWR file out of Analyzer and import into the Retargeter, which is basically your plugin into Maya, 3ds Max, or Mobu. And at that point, you're putting that data onto your rig. What's great about Analyzer Retargeter, that's the biggest difference between Studio, is the idea that you can fine-tune your custom animations beyond just the 50 expressions that Studio provides. So it's a lot more detail, and this is what you would likely adopt going into any type of feature animation, high-end production, AAA gaming, or if you want to just be able to fine-tune your characters to your liking, that's where we see a lot of people adopting this creation suite. The way I like to break down Faceware also is I like to walk customers through our 5 key workflows. This is the easiest way to digest how our solutions are deployed in various ways, and how easy it is to basically connect the dots to what you guys might be doing for your application. So the first of the five workflows is real-time streaming, where you know who your talent is. In this case, you would basically in these cases, typically you'll see this used in a theme park, a marketing event, or online live animation like YouTube Live, or streaming on Twitch with a streamer, or on YouTube with a VTuber, or with pre-visualization, where you might have an external display monitor and the director is taking a live look at your capture to ensure you guys are capturing to the quality and to the right movements, to a degree of readability that's okay with you guys. So that's that. From start to finish, you have capture. You have stationary headcam, which our software works with, or our headcams. You're streaming that live into Faceware Studio. Here's a quick preview of what some of that could possibly look like. And then you're outputting those 50 expressions into whatever medium you choose to execute for your application. In this case, when you know your talent, you can fine-tune some of that calibration to your liking. In this second workflow, you don't know, or you can't anticipate who the audience or consumer is that's going to walk in front of this camera that's streaming live through Faceware Studio onto the external display monitor. In this case, this is when we partnered with Netflix, and folks just sat in front and they were transformed into an AR character. This is when we got a Lumiere award for it back in 2018 when it launched at a trade show. But because our software has processed over 3 million faces, we're able to essentially generalize tracking to the average consumer's face. So you don't have to always fine-tune, calibrate those expressions. It is pretty much plug and play ready if you need it to be for a marketing trade show event or a theme park where you just want someone to walk across that screen and capture their face onto your character. third workflow that is pretty popular nowadays and the more innovative way of using our solutions is workflow 3, rapid production, for quick content turnaround. So I do have a couple of case studies because a lot of folks are like, what does this really look like? So for a lot of applications that we see using this, it could be for a branded web series, social media, editorial content where you need to turn around really quickly, pre-visualization, or even episodic content. So in this case, perhaps you'll have something shot in a VO booth to the headcam, recorded directly to the DVR. In this case, then you're turning those files over. So let's say the content agency or whatever artist is turning this around to the client. You can use Faceware Studio, which will output that into Unreal or Unity, and you can record directly in those 3D engines. Once you record, by recording directly, you're able to kind of turn around that content in a finished manner pretty quickly because Faceware Studio does offer a degree of accuracy with the 50 expressions that we output. Or alternatively, you can use the auto-solving capabilities with an analyzer, where you don't always have to manually track. You could manually track those landmarks if you want, but we do have auto-solving capabilities where it'll just automatically track those landmarks for you. You can make small changes if you'd like, and then it could basically be pushed through Retargeter and then output pretty quickly. So in that case, we've had this used for a weekly YouTube series where Solomon Yagwe had to basically turn around this content week to week because it was a weekly YouTube series. So that said, he was able to record directly for Faceware Studio into Unreal or Unity. And in that case, you're still able to get that high quality animation using very limited resources. And also you're able to capture VO of an actor remotely, which is very helpful during COVID. And you could just turn over those files to your artists. Also, I'd like to flag in this case, he was using Shepherd, an inertial system. And with Shepherd, it allowed him to have all of that time code syncing and one-to-one take between body and face to, again, save him time, streamline his workflow. In the second example here, we work with a bigger player like Disney. They wanted to do this really cool social media activation on Twitter. And fans were basically asking Forky from Toy Story different questions. And Forky basically needed to respond within the day some of these questions. And so what we did is we actually were working with Tony Hale, the voice of Forky, who was at a press junket. We put the Mark IV on him, recorded the takes, turned over that content to Tangerine Apps, which was our content partner, and they pushed out 20 to 30 different social media videos that same day because they were able to record from Faceware Studio, take that recording from the press junket, record it directly into Unity to turn around these files. That said, this is a pretty quick turnaround when you're looking at the time that it took and what typically it would have taken if you didn't have this capability. So again, pretty amazing to be able to kind of push out this new and innovative workflow for people and see what kind of magic they're able to do with it. Very atypical facial features, still able to capture it. Workflow number 4, this is the most traditional animation of VFX pipeline that everyone here is likely familiar with. You're seeing Faceware deployed in AAA cinematics, CG productions, VFX, and film. Again, very similarly, you're recording from your Mark IV or whatever stationary camera onto the DVR. But in this case, because you want higher quality final production and a higher degree of accuracy, you're pushing it through Analyzer and Retargeter because you can fine-tune those landmarks, fine-tune your shared pose libraries, apply it between your characters, and then you're outputting that finished final animation to your client. And then I'm going to wrap it up with the last workflow, which is full automation. We see this from time to time where we've worked with high volume content studios. The biggest example I have would be EA. In this case, like some projects may have had thousands of lines of dialogue, and traditionally you'd see gaming studios using an audio tool like FaceFX to batch process and get slightly improved jaw flap. But with our retargeter and analyzer software, we're able to basically open up a full API set of commands to customers who require it, so you can build these highly automated workflows. So for EA, they were processing millions of seconds of data with only a few licenses on hand through a batch process they've set up. Again, AAA games or training platforms typically require this level of full automation. It's always nice to just at least put that out there and let you guys know that from the most simplest workflows to the more complex ones with custom patch pipelines, Faceware is basically here to support you and offer that level of flexibility. So this is Faceware. I'm going to go ahead and throw it back to Carlos, but this is my email, karen.champ@facewaretech.com. If you have any questions, but Carlos is definitely kind of our local rep here with Latin America, so you can basically go to either of us for any additional questions.
Thank you, Karen. Great. Okay, let's continue. In this part of the, I'm gonna share quick my screen.
There you go. Try now,
Thank you,
Carlos.
Robson.
Yep.
So, as we know, this was a very brief introduction about what is Faceware as the most important standard of facial animation in industry, used in a lot of game studios, as Karen said, and animation and VFX houses to use. They use the same process and pipeline that we're gonna show you now. Real time has different, but not quite different way to work. This is something that I'm sure you are really excited to see, because real time it's the most attractive way to use facial tracking now. And you're gonna see the difference between the simple tracking methods that you see then in, you know, like an iPhone or things like that, compare it with a very robust and professional tool like is Faceware. And the final scenario is the academia, because we understand, and this is something I'm very sure you have seen in Brazil too, the way that animation laboratories, animation tools are used in universities was standardized like 12 years ago, when the people started to use Bicon and OptiTrack systems for teach, and the students have the option to do practices, etc. Then facial systems like 10 years ago was very difficult to understand. The facial methodology of a rig, the facial methodology to motion capture was very confusing. There was a lot of techniques, a lot of ways to do it, but now you can see how the standard finally find a way to have a place in the academic industry in the United States. It's used in a lot of universities. Here in Mexico is not the exception. We started to have universities who finally decided to go aboard with motion capture for facial technologies. And the way is because Faceware have different options for different budgets. So, and in this system, it's a system that it's easy, it's a very attractive price. It works perfect to do any kind of movements because it fits perfectly to the head. It matches different heads, like sizes of the head. It's available to be operated remotely, and for sure stream video and be watched in the booth of the operators of the motion capture. They can see what the camera is recording. And the Headcam Mark IV is the most new and more complete and more professional way to use motion capture in a standardized way. Fits in the 90% of the heads because it has different helmets for different sizes, from childs or adults with big heads. It has 5 hours of operation with battery and 15 hours wired. And this system charged in 1 hour to be ready to be used again. It's silent. This is important because when you are doing facial recording, you sometimes want to have the audio of the performance actors, so you can do it without noise or external sources of sound, of noise. And it's perfect to be used in professional stage because it's rugged and it's strength like a professional studios do. All the solutions are compatible with the suite of software that Jorge gonna show us now. First, Jorge gonna talk a little about rigging, the good tips and tricks about rigging for motion capture, for fashion motion capture. Then he's gonna talk a little about how the capture process does in a production environment, the way that the retarget or the post-processing of the files is needed to be transferred to the animation of the character. And finally, the most attractive, and I know everybody wants to see how the real-time to Unreal Engine works, So this is part of the things gonna Jorge talk now. So I'm gonna let you share the screen, or maybe Robson will do it.
Okay.
I think you will do it, right, Robson?
Yes, just did it.
Okay, ready.
Nice. So there we go. I should be now sharing my screen. Do you see it?
Yes.
Okay, nice. So, first of all, hi guys, nice to meet you. As Carlos said, I'm gonna try to explain all the process for animating with motion capture for fashion animation. We will try to make this like a recipe composed by 4 ingredients. So the first ingredient we're going to talk about is the rig. Then we're going to talk about the hardware and the software to capture. The third ingredient we will talk about is the software for the production workflow. And the last, we will talk about the software for real time. So let's start with this recipe for rigging. Well, this rig that you see here, the name of this character is Dani. She's made with a lot of help of photogrammetry. That way we captured lots of expressions using the system known as FACS that Carlos talked about. So FACS system is great. It's what you need to know right now if you're gonna learn to rig, and also if you're a fashion animator. That's because it's an excellent way to try to sectionate all the movements that the face can do. And also it, let's see it this way, FACS are like the final stage of an expression. So to get to that expression, I need to have control of some micro expressions. Like, for example, when someone smiles just with the right corner lip, which that would be one of the facts, yeah? When you smile with the right corner lip, you also tend to move a little like the cheeks, also the corner of the right eye. And well, as I told you, FAC is the last stage, but to get there, the micro expressions I have to be able to control them. So I sectionate that FAC in the 3 parts that I told you, like the movement of the cheek I have in a separate control, and also the one of the eyes, yeah? But most of the time I take all those from a scan where the actor did that expression, okay? So this rig is made with those facts. Also has bones. Let me show you the bones. Here we go. So these bones you see here, they're just, we can see it like the things that have to preserve more volume and are more solid, such as well, as bonds, they can be rigged with a virtual bond. Okay, that's logical. So in this case, I'm doing that for the jaw. Yeah, but other parts such as the cheeks, which are more muscular movements, sorry, you need to use blend shapes. So you need to use this hybrid system, okay? If you just use bonds, that won't be enough. If you just use blend shapes, you will constantly lose volume. So you have to use this hybrid method. So, well, this kind of control scheme is really useful, and it's recommended if you're gonna use it with Faceware, because well, I feel more comfortable with this control panel that I can move everywhere I want, or even I can spawn it in another panel, and I can have constant view of that panel, and I don't have controls in front of my head that can like limit the what I'm seeing. I mean the expressions, the animation. So, okay, when I am rigging, especially for the company when I am working right now, I have to change for the rig to be useful for production and also for real time. And I suppose that it will be like a constant in the next years. So I like to recycle as much as I can. So this rig is as compatible for production and also for real time. I have to do some tweaks to get it to real time, but it can work. So what else do I have? There's some interest controls. If you see here, I have the movement of the eyes. It's nice to have this eyelids follow control or value that I can increase if I want to activate or deactivate the follow of the eyes. And then, what else? Well, I also tend to use lots of rivets. What I'm trying to say here is that almost any kind of rig will be compatible with Faceware, talking about production, because we are making the retarget straightforward to the controls, and the connection is like bilateral. I mean, information goes in and it can go out and also can be tweaked, because we're having an intermediate that is the controls. Okay, so I think that's a pretty good look to a basic rig that can be used with Faceware. And let's see it in action. To acquire our let me change this thing. To acquire our video that we're going to track. So, ¿podemos ponerla esa camioneta, por favor? So, I'm going to show you my setup. Just a minute. So right now, I don't know. Let me show you in this camera, okay? This is a Mark IV from Faceware. It has a really nice camera attached here. We have some lighting because we need to have our actor as more with no shadows and that stuff. We need it to be well lighted.
Jorge,
so,
yeah. I think I only see your desktop screen. Are we supposed to be seeing you right now?
Yeah, I have my camera, but you have to pin it to see me because.
Robson, can you highlight the video of Jorge so this is gonna make it bigger and everybody can see?
Yes, please.
Oh, that's what it is. Okay.
Yeah. So.
Can you see it now? Yep.
So there are actually two cameras. This one, here I am, and this other one. I think this one is better.
The one I think from the second one is better, Jorge.
Okay, so let's make like a simulation if I was going to capture some data. So I will tell my actor to come here, please, Herman. So Herman here is going to help me to be my actor today. So he's gonna put the helmet. And this belt. This belt, well, we have here the battery that is covering right now the LEDs and the camera. And we have the connection for the camera that right now is functioning via SDI and AJ encoder that receives SDI and transforms it to USB. So, please. Okay, so, well, ver la cámara para acá tantito. I'm going to show you where I'm going to record this video. This Faceware system has this tool. This is called a keyprop system, which basically is a DVR. So I am connecting the camera with the help of a split to the DVR and to this little screen. So here in the screen we see Herman. This is just like for reference and to see what I am recording. So if I press the button in this keyprop to record, it will start recording. But the cool thing about this system is that I can also record via software. For that, there's a tool called Shepherd. So if you come back to my screen, here I have Faceware Shepherd. I'm gonna, with this tool, I can control the keyprop via Ethernet if I am in the same network. And doing that, I can start from here the recording. Just let me pause this. Okay. And so, I'm searching for my keyprop in the software. So, let's say that I have already my video. So now we're going to take a look in the process of tracking this video and retargeting it to my rig. So let's get going. So let's close this. So this is the second part of the recipe, right? So we are going to track a video. I know the girl you are seeing here is not German, but we were just trying like to make a simulation as if I was recording something. So when I import my video, the frame rate is recognized, and right now I'm in 24 FPS, and I want to start tracking this video. So the way Faceware Analyzer works is that we have these main groups which can track movements from the eyes, from the mouth, from the jaw, and the brows, okay? I also can see the complete face, but that's only for reference purposes because you need to do it part by part to not make it complex. So I'm going to start with the brows. I'm going to do a quick example. So I'm going to move the corner of this brow to here. And then we have a really interesting tool in Analyzer that is called intelligent, oh my God, I don't know how it's called in English. Oh, well, it's like intelligent tracking, which means that as soon as I move one of these points, I can press shift, and then Faceware is going to try to fit all the other tracking points where they need to be. So as you see, it almost tracked like the position of the face. Now I'm going to do it with the other brow, like this. Well, I can use shift, as I told you. Okay. Now I'm going to track the nostril. That's it. Okay, so as soon as I start tracking, as soon as I give this information to an analyzer across the timeline, I'm gonna give information for okay. I'm gonna give analyzer information to fill in the gaps. I mean, I'm gonna give him like three frames. Here I'm gonna adjust again the brows. There we go. There we go. The nostril. That's it. And then one last. Just quickly, I don't want you to get bored. So let's see it. Okay. So now that we have three, I can detect those frames. As you see, as soon as I move those tracking points, I get this green thingy, which means that I gave information. I need this to tell the software to detect those frames. So I'm training the software. It's already completed. It was really fast. And now I can click on follow or track. Yeah, track. So it's thinking, it's doing the stuff. One couple of seconds. It's really fast. So 3 is a minimum. Of course, if the movement is really complex, you have to give more and more info. And once you do the tracking, the automatic tracking, you get this kind of stuff. So as you see, it's really, really good. We had some little mistakes. If we add, for example, here a correction, we can then detect again. Click on detect. Yes, and then click on follow, track. And that's it. You need to do this stuff with all the groups. I mean, with the mouth group, with the jaw group, with the eyes group. Let me show you what I mean quickly. So for example, if I click eyes, I get the tracking points for the eyes. So the same stuff. We click, we shift, we adjust. We add this frame, add three more frames, track, and that's it. And when you get done, you're gonna get something like this. Let me show you. Okay, that's it. So this is a really good tracking. When I click play, you can see that all the tracking information is there. We trained Faceware to recognize some keyframes, and we get these results. So now we have to take these results and send it to retargeter. To do that, you will need to click first here. Well, in English, it will say fix parameters. Once we do that, we're gonna get this thing called FWR. So that FWR, we're gonna send it to retarget. So let's do that. Okay, so as soon as I open my retarget plugin, which you can access, well, you have to activate the plugin from the preferences of Maya, then click here in Faceware, retargeter, And in this step, what you need to do is create a character configuration. Let me load my last configuration. I have it here. There we go. So when I start the configuration of my character, what I need to do is to take all these basic expressions from Faceware and make those expressions with my rig. So as you see, I already done that. If I click, let me put apply expressions. Okay, so let's say the first one is look to left. So I do that, and I click on to apply the expression. The next one is to make it look to the right. I do the same. Looking down. Okay. Then we go with the blinks and on and on. So it's pretty easy to do this part. So once we do that, let me delete this. Once we do that, we can start to make the process of retarget. For that, I need to load my FWR, which is oh, sorry, I was in the wrong window. It's in this one where it says open. We go to search for the FWR. Here it is. Open. I'm gonna load my character configuration, which I was showing you later. I can import my video to have it as reference, and it will synchronize it with the frame rate. I click OK. And well, when I do that, I'm gonna add all my my facial groups. For example, right now I have my brows and eyes, but let's say I need to add the eyes, right? So for the eyes, I need to search for some frames that are more exaggerated. For example, right here where she's blinking. So I can do that manually, and I put my time slider in this frame. I click on add. I can put a name like blink. And then what I will do is to control my rig. Just give me a sec to delete these frames. So, okay. I'm gonna blink those eyes. That's it. And I click on actualize. Update, I mean. I'm having a bit trouble because the software is in Spanish and I try to remember the name in English. So sorry about that. Okay, so as soon as I do that, I get a keyframe with the blink. But this will be time consuming. So what I can do is automatically search for those poses. So I can use this part here that says auto pose, and I can tell to find like maybe 2 poses. I click on get poses. And we get these two last poses. And we have another blink. So let's feed that frame with more blinks. Like this. And once we do that, we can click on recalibrate. And then the software is going to start to fill in these gaps and to make the retarget of all the rest of the stuff. So here I made a mistake. I actually did the inverse, right? So I closed the eyes when it was open. So I was trying to compensate that, but I made a mess. I have to be honest. But yes, I was trying like to do this fast. But no worries. The thing is, when you do all this process, you're gonna get something like this. No, not like this. Like just wait a couple of seconds for it to open. So I don't know if you have some questions so far. I know I'm going too fast, but it's because I don't want to get you bored. I want to get to the real-time part.
No, that's good. So far, no questions. You can go ahead.
Okay. So, well, I just wanted to show you the result. So this was what I was tracking, but we also did some adjustments on the top. And that's really easy because as we're using controls, we can simply add some extra layers. Like I can select those, click here. Oh, well, I can choose layers that I misclicked. Layer from selected, and then I can start like doing some extra adjustments. That's what I really like of Faceware. It's easy for you to add an extra layer of adjustments. Yeah, as you see in the top layer, I can do this. And we get something like this. Well, for example, in the first layer, I have the movement of the head, and in the other layer, I have the animation from Faceware. So this would be like the end of the part of the Faceware for production. So we're gonna get to the exciting part. We're gonna make a real-time streaming from Faceware Studio to Unreal Engine. So let's go to that. Just let me close all this stuff because you know Unreal Engine is really demanding. Okay. So right now you are seeing in the screen is the same brick that I was using, the same character, but now you are seeing it in real time with Unreal Engine. And we're gonna close this and let's start the studio. So The studio is a really powerful tool. And it's really easy to use. The first panel we have is the input part. Right here I'm telling Studio to use the video that is streaming from the camera of Faceware. I'm using this resolution because I want it to be optimized, and I can also click here, optimize for real time, which is gonna reduce a lot more the resolution. Right now it's in 360 by 640. That's really cool because I'm running lots of stuff in a real engine. I need it to be as smooth as this can. So that's the first part. As you can see in this bar, as soon as the things are working, it starts to show a green color. So right now everything is okay with my video. It says that I am tracking at 60 FPS. So let's start with tracking. And this is really cool because I just need to tell my actor to be in a neutral pose. Please, Herman, neutral pose. Then I click in calibrate neutral pose. And there you go. We get the tracking of the facial groups. So in this left panel, what you see is all those graphics from the movement. So if I want to, if your man moves his brows to the up, we get here this value of 0.40, and those values are the same that I'm gonna. Okay, those values are the same that I'm gonna get on the Unreal. So let's get to that. We also have this animation tuning where I can make some adjustments. For example, if I want the movement of the right eyebrow to increase, when it goes up, I can increment it like 120%, for example. And I also can motion effects. As soon as I start tweaking this stuff, tuning is gonna change from color. Right now it's in yellow because it tells me to save my profile. But I'm actually going to load a profile. Let's use this one. Oh, I think that profile is missing. Okay, here we go. So this profile, for example, has some adjustments for the jaw to make it look more synchronized with what Herman is doing. Okay. So now we're going to get into the part of streaming. I'm going to click here in streaming. I'm going to activate a stream to client. I'm going to use support 1337 with the legacy control schema. Right now we can use two schemas. Legacy have like a kind of, well, the difference from legacy and standard is that standard can track the cheeks. That's really great. It's really, really great. And also comes some improvements in the gross tracking. But right now we're going to use the legacy. We can choose which face group we want to stream. I'm going to stream everything but the head because I don't need that. And I also can stream UV positions if I want to transfer like 2D data to a 2D character. And now I'm going to click here in stream to client. As soon as I click there, the stream starts to turn yellow. That means that it's streaming data, but Unreal Engine hasn't made the connection. So we're going to check that. Okay. Let me do this. Let me close this. Sorry. So let me see what's going on here. The part is right. Let me check the blueprint. Please, we're live. I'm gonna talk a little about this blueprint. Right here is it's an actual blueprint where I got my character. If I see the viewport, there is Danny. I have this node that is called Faceware Live. This node, it would be available as soon as you install the Live Client plugin. Once you got it, you can call it here in the event graph because you need it to get the information from Faceware. So I can get it here in my event graph like this. And this will help me to break all the information that I'm getting from Faceware. Those information are called shape points. So these shape points can be broken into all the same expressions that I was seeing here in the studio. And here we can see something interesting. We can use these values not only to control like animation and expressions. We could control anything that we plug in. Right here, what I'm controlling is a parameter value that is taking care of the blending of some textures. For example, for the eyes when they close, I need to well, when the eyes open, we have like this, how do you say? Well, those foldings, yeah. So I need to see that thing unfolded. And for that, I'm controlling this this parameter that controls the alpha gain of a texture. So I'm casting all that stuff to an animation blueprint and setting a variable that contains all the information from Faceware. We can see that, let me check the configuration. I'm in the same port, yeah. Yeah, 1337. So now I'm gonna check my animation blueprint. There we go. This is where the stuff becomes really interesting. Right now, I'm connecting all this raw information from Faceware into an animation post asset that contains all the possible expressions that Faceware can fit. But also, I can make some tricks to generate some other expressions. So I can use all the nodes from Unreal Engine. Like for example, here I am using a curve to make the value a little more smooth and not linear. That really helps to make it more organic. I am doing the same with the jaw. The curve from the jaw is a little funny, but it works. And well, all these things are changed in with apply additives into the output post. And in the bottom of that, you can put all kind of stuff. For example, an input from a corporal motion capture like Bicon, some simulation. For example, these nodes are for simulation for the hair. And let's take a look when we click play. Okay, there we go. So let me show you side by side. So this is what we get when we are getting the input in real time from. Let me close this. So, ahí se ve. ¿Tampoco? ¿Qué se ve? Se ve este, ¿verdad? Está ahí. Ahí sí se ve. Creo que es.
No, we can see Jorge.
Oh. Let me see what's happening. What happens if I do this? Now you see it?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, there's some weird stuff happening with things that I select to share. Sorry about that. So, as you can see, for example, there's a thing that I was telling you about the blinks. So when Herman blinks, the blending of the texture pushes in to make it look more smooth. Also, we got that kind of stuff in the cheeks. We have like it's called I think pipo or something like that. Like in Spanish is hoyuelo. And yeah, so that's the stuff that we can get. It's really nice, and it can work along with other technologies like Bicon. We can add on top simulation for the hair and that stuff. Let me try another profile because I see that Herman is opening his mouth. What?
Can you tell Edwin to do a little of zoom in to Herman faces so we can see in real time?
Que si puedes hacer un poquito de zoom a su cara.
Okay.
Yeah, that's better. So right now, when Herman is closing his mouth, it seems the same. Yeah, it was a little adjustment that I was making here in Faceware Studio, but that's it, because you were seeing the character with the mouth open all the time, right? But you can fix that really easy. So that's it.
Okay, great. Thank you, Jorge. Thank you, everybody there, the guys of Eugenia. I don't know, Robson, maybe we can do a couple of questions. I see there's a question about, Giovanni asked about if we are using Studio Custom Effects, and if you can talk a little, Jorge, about how it works.
Yeah, right now, it's exactly what I was doing. The only custom effect that, no, sorry, it's not custom. It's the motion effects that are already built in Faceware Studio. So far, we haven't had the need to use a custom Python program effect. With just the ones that come built in Faceware Studio, we were able to fix some stuff. It really works straight out of the box. So right now I am just using an offset. So tell me please if you are seeing
yes,
Faceware Studio. Yes.
Yes, we see.
The only two things that I am using here is an offset for the jaw, because the values are like different for the rig in terms of opening the mouth. So the value that works best for Herman is -0.26, and also a clamp just to prevent it from opening too much the jaw. Then that's it. Sometimes I use other stuff like reduce by, when for example I need to prevent an expression to be made while the other one is being made. I don't know if that has sense. For example, when he opened the mouth at the maximum, I don't want it to make in all the cases like a O shape. So I tend to use reduce by in order to prevent it to do this O shape when I don't want it. So you can do that kind of stuff. but also you can play with so many stuff in Unreal Engine. I mean, you can make a lot of stuff. You can use the conditionals, yes, the conditionals to tell it when, for example, when the jaw is open more than 0.5, have this other corrected plane shape. Something like that can be made in Unreal, and this can like maximize your possibilities. So you are not like just enclosed to the 43 expressions. You can add lots of stuff that is like based on those 43 expressions.
Okay, thank you, Jorge. Another question, Sofia asked, if you can explain a little about how you import the model in Unreal. It's more about you have a mixture of blend shapes, joints, and things like that, but how do you integrate everything inside Unreal Engine?
Okay, so, well, you have to start to look up to all the type of assets that Unreal Engine can manage. When you export a character that has a rig, what you're gonna get in Unreal is these 4 things. This pink one is a skeletal mesh. This contains only information about, well, skeleton, the weights, and the blend shapes. The other thing you're gonna get is, if you have an animation, in my case, I have a pose asset that contains 43 expressions. So that animation is gonna be exported at the same time, but it's gonna generate another, how do you say, like little blueprint. This blueprint contains the animation. So here you can take a look at my rig and those pose assets that I was telling you. So these have the 43 movements already baked in the bones and the blend shapes. You can see the curves of those animations, which is really useful. You also can tweak those curves here. I don't recommend it, but you can do that. And well, the other thing that you get is the skeleton as it is, just plain skeleton with no weights and that. Well, you also get this physics asset, but well, it's just for simulation. It makes like an approximate of the collision bounds with the information of the bones. You can tweak it also, but well, it's all that stuff working in harmony is what gets the animation to connect with Unreal. I don't know if that's what you were asking.
Okay, I think yes. Let's wait to Sofia answer. Anyhow, I think we are on time. So I want to say thanks to everybody to come, to the people from Brazil who ask about these things. Remember, we're gonna have more webinars related to facial motion capture. Maybe not the pipeline, more related to the use of how post-produce facial motion capture, and we're gonna have a digital humans specific webinar soon. For the kids who joined from Mexico, don't worry, this video it's recorded, so Robson gonna share the video from the beginning so you can see from the first part. And thank you everybody. Thanks for coming. And we're gonna see you in the next webinar.
Thank you guys. Thank you very much. See you.
Have a nice day.
You guys too. Have a great day.